Been real busy the past couple days. Figured I'd make a quick one for everybody out there in YouTube world. Got a side project done. It was actually done and everything was swapped over the other night, but making everything fit and work where it wasn't supposed to was a potential aggravating heck of a little trip. But it all paid off in the long run and I just finished it. I cannot find my voltage meter. I just want to go over everything and make sure it's charging the battery and everything. But furthermore, here it is. It is done. The motor is in. Thought it was going to be easy, but every time I turned around, something was not fitting here, was not fitting there. It just wasn't made for it. Well, it wasn't made for this particular setup, but I had to actually buy a booster box. Well, actually, I had the booster box. I'm gonna have to buy a new one, but I took the battery out of a booster box to fit it in until I get up and see what different size batteries I can get. The starter was interfering in there, but just to get it running, and boy, it was a booger. It was a booger. But it all came together. It's running. This motor is going to have to be gone over here soon. I'm just gonna run it until it dies. It's knocking a little bit, but it's not using too much oil. So I'm just gonna run it until it dies and overhaul it. If it happens to chip the block anywhere, I have like 4 of these blocks put back and parts out the wazoo, as you've probably seen in my other videos. But yeah, it all came together. The paint is not perfect, but there was like 6 coats of paint on this thing, and we tried sanding and everything else. What it really needs is a bead blast right down to raw metal. But I'm happy with it. Yes, I know that's not the right seat, but I like that seat and I had that seat. So basically everything on here is not right for the tractor, but it's right for me. So yeah, I'm happy with it. I'll fire it up. I was having problems with the wiring where it was not getting power to the points. Well, actually to the coil, until I left off the ignition. So I fixed that. So that's why you don't start it in gear. I'm gonna keep that in the video. Yeah, I am tickled pink with this thing. But you can hear the motor. I originally thought it was the valves, and I did a valve job on it. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I originally thought it was the valves. It's actually the piston smacking off the sidewalls, because when I took it out and everything, I could, it's not scoring the cylinder walls, but just from past experiences, I know exactly what it was. As soon as I started it up, it just has that. I was hoping it was just the valves, and I never took this apart to really look at the valves or check the valve thresh or anything like that in it, and they were carboned up after I cleaned them, and I used some valve compound and cleaned them up and everything. They were gapped pretty good from the carbon. It was surprising how much the carbon actually gapped it, but I cleaned them up and did a little valve job on it and got it where it was supposed to be. I was kind of nervous. I never really did a valve job on one of these before. I'm used to you know, Briggs, and the bigger Kohlers have the adjustment underneath them. I was hoping, because I do have one of these motors that has, which is rare, at least to me, it has adjustable for the flat tappet off the camshaft to go to the valves. It literally had adjustments on it, which to me, I've had a bunch of these motors apart, and I've never seen one of these with that. But that was a really old one. I think it came off of like a a thumper or something like that for construction work. But this one did not have it. I was hoping it did, but I ended up doing a valve job on it, and I cannot complain. Everything turned out good on it. I'm happy. Like I said, it's not perfect. It's not up to spec, but for what I had to do to get this thing to work the way I wanted it to do, it was fun. So finally got that done. Other future projects are picked this up today for 125 bucks. Typical cam problems. These motors are awesome when they run, but the design for these motors is just horrible. That cam, the way they have it set up, that little pressure pin in there to activate the decompression on the valves just shears off, and it either gets stuck open or stuck closed. This one got stuck open, and it's just, it don't have enough compression to start. Here, I'll start it for you. Got to push on the brake. Yeah, it just pops and carries on. It's just got the valve open too far for it to take off. So I am in the middle of, this is like the 5th one I've got like this. I mean, here, I'll show you over here. This one here, same problem. And they want like $60-70 for another cam. And I am not paying $60-70. We've gone that route on other people's tractors, and it just ends up breaking again anyhow. So I'm gonna see if I can't come up with a way to do this to where it just works all the time. I have taken the decompression unit out off of the cams in these, and on eBay they have a starter spec wise. It's the same size as this and everything, except it's about 1.5 to 2 inches longer. It's for the V twins. That does work, although you do have to grind this down if you don't have the original bolts off of it. That will work, but I don't think that's any good for it. I want to find a better way for it to work without having to rig it up. So I've got like 3 of these cams sitting around. I'll dig one out and fiddle around with it and see if I can't get, it's not necessarily the cam itself, it's that stupid pressure pin that they put in. It's like you can't get one anywhere, at least that I know of. It's like that long, and it just shears off. I've had them get down in the oil pump and get in there in the gears on the crankshaft and screw all that up. I mean, nightmare. But hopefully by the next time I upload a video, this thing will be running, or it won't even be here. Because something like this, I'll get it running, sharpen the blades. I have to weld this deck. It's cracked there and cracked there, so I'm gonna have to clean that up and weld that. Touch it up with some paint. This here, I'll get it running and everything. I'm into it. 125 bucks plus $20 in gas. The guy wanted like $250 for it. I offered him 100, and he said 150. So I said, well, I'm gonna have to, you know, hold off on it, do some thinking, because I have almost a 2-hour drive to get it. And then he messaged me back, said he'd sell it to me for 125. So, you know, I basically got it for 145 bucks. I will most definitely list it for probably $4.99 to get rid of it quick. Yeah, I know you can probably get more than that depending at where you're at. I mean, I get on Facebook and Let Go, and they're wanting $600-700 bucks for these things. I'd rather sell 3 of them for 400 bucks and make a pile of money than sell one for 700 bucks and have to sit on it for a month. So I got this guy. I'm gonna have to print out punch cards. Oh, I better turn this down. I do not own the rights to any of this music. This guy, I'm gonna have to print out a punch card. This thing has been back here 5 times in less than a month. Just a real pain in the butt. Not the guy per se, this tractor. Now it's eating belts. So I'm going to tear the deck apart and check the spindles on it and stuff. Last year, anybody out there that has John Deere's, I feel your pain. The belts for these, he's paid like this thing, I think this is 4th or 5th belt on this now. It blew this one. But last year, his electric PTO went out on it. And though it's a twin cylinder Kohler, or Onan's, it has a special PTO on it, so it doesn't really bolt up on any other motors except for, you know, this. They don't make an aftermarket one or anything like that that we could find when it was a John Deere exclusive. This poor guy, it was the first time I seen a grown man cry, and it wasn't a death in his family or anything like that. This PTO was like $720. Had to buy it. Since he put this PTO on, he has had nothing but problems with it. Now you can see one of the problems right there. He ran into something. See, I literally pulled it in yesterday. This guy, I love this guy. He's a good guy. I love doing work for him. But like I said, I'm going to have to print out punch cards like maybe every 5 times he comes, the 6 times free. Because, you know, I don't charge that much. I'm trying not to do any small engine repair. But he's one of those guys that shows up and drops it off. And he said he wants me to go over the deck and everything, make sure that nothing's bad. If it's a bad spindle, we'll throw a spindle on it. But depending on my decision, he's probably just going to buy a brand new one and keep this one for doing work around the house. So, but yeah, that's basically what I've been up to. Got this one and that one out there. I'm going to work on this one first because it's, you know, taking up a lot of space. I'll pop the hood on it. He doesn't really, he's one of the guys, the first time I met this guy, he brought me a push mower. He said he couldn't get it started. The string had broke on it, and literally instead of going and buying a 99-cent pull start, plastic little pull start handle, the guy tied a corn cob to it. Hey, it worked. But I do someplace around here, I saved it. Because I just laughed. He's one of those guys. This deck broke over here. The last time I had it in here, the deck had broke. And the belt was still kind of good. So we tried to save the belt, but I guess it wasn't good enough. He mowed a half an hour and it broke the belt. But yeah, it had broke right there. And we had to take this whole assembly out. John Deere wanted like $600 for that. And I think he got it welded for like $5. And that seems to be holding up. Before I end this is going to be a long video. I think this might be one of the longest videos I ever uploaded. But I'll start this up for a one-man shop because he's got that generator. So I'll fire it up and let you guys hear. I mean, I've had Sears Suburbans with these on here. Boy, if you get them straight piped with an H on them. I had a pulling tractor. Oh my God. Thing just sits there, put, put, put. Now it's been sitting, so it's a little cold, but it straightens out once it's warm. Let that oil circulate and I'll give it a good little rev. It's not like 0 degrees outside, so we don't have to have that like dry start, oh don't rev it until it's warmed up. It's a freaking riding mower, not an airplane. I'm not taking it to Walmart tonight to get groceries, so hopefully I don't get one of those guys say, oh, it is so bad on the motor to rev it when it's cold like that. Well, I understand if it was February, but you know, it's almost the 4th of July. It ain't gonna hurt it. But Yeah, I mean, it could use a good little carb clean on it, but he's just one of those guys. He doesn't want me to, you know, what I would normally do if he was a new customer, I would go through and just make this thing spotless. But if I did that, he's just one of those guys. I had a couple of the guys over the years. They'd bring their lawnmower to me and I'd clean it up. I mean, the thing would look just about brand new, and they don't really care. You know, if they got money to buy one of these John Deeres, because like him, you know, I would love to have this machine. I would absolutely love to have it. I would cherish it. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of equipment, but to him, it's just a riding mower. He's talking about going out and getting a brand new one. I think a new one, probably about this size and this capability, would probably be like 13 grand. And something this size now, I believe you have to buy them their 4-wheel drive. But another thing with those Onan motors, and I hold on to the carburetors. If I see one at the junkyard, I grab them. If you want to get a little kick, get on the internet there. Just go on eBay and type in Onan's carburetor. I think the last time I looked them up, just for one of those carburetors, I got like 4 of them. One of those carburetors is like $300-400 for a used one. A brand new one's even more than that. One of these things these motors always were plagued with was getting fuel from the back to the front. That was my problem with Sears. The way they had their pump, their vacuum pump on that carburetor, the Onan's vacuum pump, it would work like a champ and then boom, die out. And I had it for a pulling tractor, and yeah, it was just a pain, real pain, especially when you're in the middle of a pull and it just gags out. You got to grab the choke. So I ended up modifying the intake, because the intake's probably from here to here long, and then it splits. They're actually glued together. Let me see. I might have one if I didn't throw it out. I did have one for the longest time. Yeah, matter of fact, I do have one here. I have the top piece of one. This was the one that I had modified. This is the top of the intake. It splits apart. From the factory, they just had it, RTV sealed. But, yeah, this is what the intake looks like. And what I did was grind it down on the top and then hone out these bolts. Well, these holes here for the bolts. And, what I ended up doing was taking a Briggs & Stratton opposed twin carburetor and putting it up on there. And talk about, oh my God. It was like night and day. I had the Sears, what was it, GT 19.9, I believe it was. I'll have to look around and see if I can't get on. I believe I have them on my Facebook page of me pulling it and stuff like that from back when I first got Facebook. But oh my God, it was night and day. I got so pissed about it that I was just trying all different things, and that's what I ended up doing, and boy did it work. It was a pig for the linkage and stuff because it wasn't made to be there, but once I got everything figured out, it worked, and it worked good. I mean, that thing would sit there and just idle. You would have swore I put a cam in it. I mean, it just but the whole tractor would just sit there. I mean, the whole damn tractor would just rock back and forth. And I had flappers on the exhaust. I had dual exhaust, straight pipe dual exhaust with an H-pipe runner across. And it'd just sit there. And man, when I'd pull, I really didn't have anything done to that tractor. I had the jets drilled out on it, which I did myself. And, you know, I kind of honed everything out and polished everything and had the heads taken down on it. And that thing was nasty. I'd pull and it'd blow flames out the pipes and just make... I had to literally wear earplugs when I was pulling it because it'd just make my whole head ring. I'd have a headache. But the first time I pulled, I thought I did terrible. Right after I pulled, there was a bunch of tractors in front of me. I didn't know nothing about garden tractor pulling. I was just like, I watched and watched and watched, and I really wanted to get into it. So what I ended up doing was I got this tractor, and I did all this stuff to it. Because no matter what I look at it, and it could be perfect, but you're always, I'm one of those people, I'm always looking at it, I want to make it better. So anyhow, I get up to this line, I'm waiting, all these people go ahead of me. So I hop on and I go about halfway up the track. Then all these other people come up behind me and they're taking off and doing wheel stands and heading down the track. So I did 3 or 4 pulls and never ran out of power. I ran out of traction. Now this is my first time. And it really, really bugged me. You know, because I'm like, man, I invested all this money, all this time, and I did terrible. I ended up a month down the line because I tucked tail and loaded my tractor up and went home. I was really upset that I didn't do better, you know. About a month later, I get a letter in the mail, Montour DeLong Fair Association. I open it up, and it's I believe it was a $55 or a $65 check from Montour DeLong Fair. I had placed 5th in my class. Now, in my class, there was over 100 tractors. I placed 5th, my first pull ever. I didn't even know it. Here, what had happened, hot stocks went after me. I was under stock. But to place 5th, and by that time, I was just, it really, really got to me. I got rid of the tractor. I sold the motor off it. I got rid of the tractor. And said, you know, this is a waste of time. I was never going to do it again. And I was really upset about it. It really destroyed me. And a month later, I get a check in the mail that I placed 5th out of all those tractors. So that was my pulling experience, and I never got into it. But I often think to myself, if I would have stayed into it, because like I said, I never ran out of power. I ran out of traction. The motor, it sounded, I'll even see if my wife has video. She did at one time. It might be up in the cloud, because we're talking 6 years ago. The video, you can hear that motor. It just running. It's not dogging or nothing. I just run out of traction. So who would have known if I would have stayed into it until now? I would have probably figured out where to put my weights, what weights, where I needed to put them, and what would have worked for that tractor. But yeah, that was my pulling experience, and I never got back into it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. It's a really long one. Longest one I've ever updated. It's about a little bit of everything, but we'll just probably label it shop Ramble 3 Ramble 2, I don't know, but hey, whoever watches the end of this here, this is that's one thing that's good, clean my feet with. I always keep one of those around. I'm just kidding. I don't knock them. I've owned several, well, three bad experiences. I've owned several Chevys over the years and had nothing but good luck with them. But my cousin has Fords. He's a diehard Ford. And unless he's sneaking around fixing them behind me, he don't complain. He has no problems. All mine were used and came with used problems. I had a Mustang 5.0. I think that was an 88 or an 89. 5.0 GT. I had a Ford Probe. That wasn't a GT. I loved that. I think that was like a 90 something. And I had a 86 or an 87 F-150. That was jacked up, primer gray. I loved that. But all 3 of them gave me problems in a time of my life where I didn't have the money to resolve them. So I do miss that F-150. I'm Chevy Boy Brown, but that F-150 was sweet. Had a body lift on it, suspension lift, big mud tires. I only paid like $1,000 for it. It needed the secondary fuel pump. It was like $300 back then. $300 to me was like, might as well be $3,000. My rent was $400 at the time. So, but hey, I'd appreciate it if you press the like and the subscribe button. And I appreciate your time, and I wish everybody a happy 4th of July, and thanks for watching. And keep tinkering. And if I come across anything new or exciting, I'll let you know. Later.